Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Adam. Welcome back to another film review. And in today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at John Carpenter's 1998 film Vampires on SUPERBIT DVD. We're going to be taking a look at this release. I've never actually seen this film ever. This is the first time I've watched it for this review. And I'll tell you what I think towards the end. On a budget of $20 million, the film only made $20.3 million on its release. So if you take into account marketing, I don't think it actually made its money back. But when it hit home video on Laserdisc, DVD, VHS, it went on to become a cult classic with fans. And most likely has made its money back. Now, when it originally came out, like I said, never saw it, never gave it the time of day. I was actually watching Blade, which is a film with the exact same story. Now, Vampires is based on a novel called Vampires by John Steagley, and originally was put into production in 1992. In fact, Russell McCulkey was the original director, with Dolph Lundgren in the lead role. Now, originally, when Largo Entertainment was going to be making this, the budget was 50 to 60 million. Looking, obviously, for another, like, Highlander success. Now, for whatever reason, they jumped ship, and it didn't happen. So, after Escape from LA, John Carpenter was like, you know what, this directing malarkey ain't fun anymore, I'm quitting. And Largo Entertainment went to John Carpenter and said, listen, have a look at this script. It was a very different script for what the film is. And he said, have a think about it. Don't, retire just yet. Have a think about this. He read the script, got very interested, went on to read the novel, and then was inspired and thought, do you know what? I've got a really good idea for this. And so started to go into, writing a new script, thinking about, I want Kurt Russell in the lead role, like kind of, bringing back his Jack Burton-esque role from Big Trouble in Little China. He wanted Alec Baldwin as the secondary character in this film. I think his name was Manatoy or Manatee or Manny or something like that. And then Largo Entertainment turned around and said, well, you got $20 million instead of 50 to 60 million. But John Carpenter is that kind of director where he can make it happen. So he went to production, and instead of Dolph Lundgren had gone by now, he wanted Kurt Russell and Alec Baldwin. And unfortunately, they both were busy with other projects. Alec Baldwin actually offered it to his younger brother, Daniel Baldwin, who is in the film. And John Carpenter was like, I ain't got my Kurt Russell, dude. My main bros in all my films. Who else have we got? Now, there are actually a whole host of other actors considered for the role, but John Carpenter thought of James Woods, who had seen his work, liked his work, and gave him the script to read. And James Woods had never been the main lead in an action film up to this point, and thought, yeah, I'll give this one a go, I think the closest he'd become to a main lead in an action role is when he starred in the action comedy with Michael J. Fox, The Hard Way, because the roles he plays is very similar to the role he plays in this film, Jack Crow. Now, the story goes, like I said, mirror image of Blade, is that James Woods and Daniel Baldwin are vampire hunters. Daniel Baldwin is like his Whistler, and they basically are looking for vampires. They don't call them, dens or layers or any of the other names that you'd think of for vampires. They call them nests. Now, the vampires in this film are a lot different from any other vampire you've seen. A lot more like the Lost Boys when they're at their scariest. Like, the vampires in this film are proper hardcore, just animals, basically, wanting your blood. And James Woods and Daniel Baldwin have a team of slayers. The film starts off in a most badass way, with the music from John Carpenter coming in like a western, and has this tune that is just so good. And honestly, love the music. John Carpenter did it. And basically, the cronies are going after these nests, and they happen to upon a nest of a master who happens to be the oldest vampire, the first vampire. And so it's a good versus evil, literally, like I said, like the film Blade. Now, I'm not going to spoil any more of this film because there is such a hardcore ending to this film. Heartbreakingly emotional. Like, I think this is John Carpenter's best film. And I'm a fan of his work, like Halloween, Escape from New York, loads of his classics. But this one, and Big Trouble in Little China. But this film is his best work, I feel. The ending to this film is so emotional and hard-hitting. You're like, I want to see that sequel. Unfortunately, that sequel was never made. But now, this film was shot with Panavision cameras on 35mm, obviously, using Eastman Color Kodak stock, and has been, like, I don't know what the type of stock film they used, but I get the feeling by the film that it was one that was either mainly shot used for nighttime shooting, or one that where the exposure was a couple of steps down from, like, say, a normal exposure, because a lot of the scenes in this film, the daytime scenes seem a bit not underexposed, but just taken down a couple of notches of the exposure. They have this darkness to them, and I think this is an artistic intent by the director. Filters are used on the lenses clearly in a lot of shots. Like, I want to put some still pictures up here from the film. Like, the quality on this DVD, by the way, I was really impressed with. But the film itself, the way the film was handled, the way the film was created, I don't think translates well to the DVD. I haven't got the Blu-ray, so I can't see that or what was changed, but I have the feeling that the John Carpenter's intent with this film was to utilize the film in a certain way for an artistic intent, because the sharpness of this DVD, when I compare it to other DVDs I've watched on my setup, is not as sharp as it could be. I think it's been toned back a little bit to a more softer palette, and the colors tend to lean more in the reds. So facial colors during the daytime, the bright stuff, their colors are quite pinky. At nighttime, they're very muted, and obviously the vampire's skin color is just white, but a proper on gray white, like, it looks like the color grading on this film was done for a particular reason. Now, I have seen other people review the Blu-ray, and the shots that they are bringing up, colors are changed. The grass is vibrantly green. Now, which is completely different to the version here. Obviously, which version is meant to be John Carpenter's? I'm gonna guess this has come from the original master at the time, and so has more of a faithful look to what he wanted, and more future, releases, more recent releases have maybe steered a little bit off that to make things pop more, because this film doesn't have popping colors, right? It has muted colors almost, not black and white at all, and not the the sort of tone of brown that you get with sepia type of films, but it's got a very particular palette of color for this film, and so, like I said, the sharpness doesn't come across as much as it could do, but I think that is the intent. It's a very interesting picture on this, and I'm sure the normal standard DVD is exactly the same. On VHS, I'm sure, and Laserdisc. I will have to cross-reference the Laserdisc when I get it to see, but I have a feeling this was the intent of the director. Overall, I really love this film. It is such a good film. It's basically a Western cowboy version of Blade. Like, if these guys were riding around on horses, pulling carts, it wouldn't have been out of place. But if they'd have done that in Blade, man, with the technology they were using, that film is dated. Like, particularly has to be made in the present. The story of this film could have been made from any point in history. Like, it doesn't specifically say the 90s that it was made in, like shot in or set in rather, but it could have been 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Really, like the types of vehicles used, the weaponry used, he uses a crossbow. It doesn't speak anything particular. They don't go on any technological, research or anything like using laptops to do things. It's all done old school. Stakes, like the lore of vampirism in this film is very particular to this film, and I love it. Like, there's a mad scene where James Woods is joking, crosses don't do shit, garlic, he'll just bum you from behind, like everything, forget what you think in the movies you've seen. It's not like that, okay? This is hardcore vampires, and it's a real different take on the lore of vampirism, and it's a real interesting one, refreshing one, when you've seen things like Bram Stoker's Dracula or even Blade, Interview with a Vampire. It's completely different to that, and it's more visceral, more hard, more animalistic. These vampires are beasts that just seem to sleep during the day, waiting for these guys to rock up at their house, and then by night they just want the blood. It is a really good film. I really enjoyed it. Everybody plays a stellar part. Daniel Baldwin, I mean, basically, if you can't afford Alec, hire Daniel, because he's got the same, gravelly voice as Alec Baldwin. He looks like a chubby Alec Baldwin. Honestly, Daniel Baldwin is emulating his brother. Like, John Carpenter still got to work with Alec Baldwin effectively, but James Woods in this film is such a badass. He plays that sort of anti-hero, sort of, the way I'm doing it is the way I'm doing it, and you better fucking accept it or get out of my way. Like, it's a bit like Kurt Russell in Big Trouble in Little China, but for the adults. Jack Burton was for the kids. This is for the adults. I would have been really interested to see Kurt Russell in this role, because it would have been a return to Jack Burton. The guy's name is Jack Crow in this film, and I bet you if Kurt Russell was in the lead, it would have been Jack Burton, and this would have been almost a follow-up, to that story of Big Trouble in Little China. But James Woods nails it. This is my favourite role for James Woods, and I've seen him in loads of films. He's a really good actor. I love his work, but in this film, it's his best. He's a wise-cracking SOB that you better get out of his way as he's hunting these. He's almost as hardcore as these vampires, as he's going, just die! He's going after him. It's so funny. Now, the version I've got here is the SUPERBIT version, and it is a region 2. The picture quality on this, again, is absolutely superb, for DVD at the end of the day. Like, playing it on my setup, everything looked like it should. It looked like a Blu-ray at the end of the day, but the artistic canvas that the director has painted here makes it a very different experience. There's filters in the sky to make it give it this pink red hue instead of the bold blue. It's almost as if they've taken out all the blue except for James Woods' jeans. Like, that's kind of what it looks like. I don't recall seeing any proper blue in the film except for James Woods' jeans. There's red skies almost during the day, pinky. There's heavy filters used. The film stock itself is kind of made the film have this soft grainy look, but it doesn't have like over amounts of grain. The picture quality on this is really good. The sound, you got the choice of DTS or Dolby Digital 5.1. Now, my system can't do DTS, but Dolby Digital 5.1, it is a banging soundtrack. There is plenty going on in the rears in terms of not only the musical score, but all the explosions that happen, all the sound effects. The front speakers are rumbling the house, and the center dialogue is crystal clear, even in those heavy action sequences. It's a very atmospheric soundtrack, and the picture quality, I really appreciated its Western vibe. This is like the Wild Bunch goes on a hunt for vampires. This is really, I think it was John Carpenter's intent to make this a Western, because it really has that gritty cowboy feel to it. And I love it. It's a new take on it. It's brilliant. He did an expert job on this film. Thank you, John. You know, I really did enjoy this, and I can't believe I've waited so long before seeing this film. Like, seriously, I was on the blamed bandwagon. That's all it was, you know. I was like, I don't really see the same story, do I? Like, again and again. So inside the SUPERBIT DVD, you just get the disc, and that is it. There are no extras on this, no audio commentary, none of those beautiful documentaries that the Blu-ray has. You just get a little piece of paper with the scenes. Look at that picture, though. I mean, I could line it up with my face, you know. And yeah, honestly, really cool. The artwork, I love the cover of the thingy. The villain in this, it's Terry Crews from the Karate Kid films. He plays the Valak vampire dude. Look at that. Like, everything about this film is so cool. Another thing you would get with these SUPERBITs as well is a pamphlet all talking about SUPERBIT and the titles available. If anybody's never seen this, here's all the titles available, and as well as that, you got them on the back, right? So you got all those titles, but then it gives you a lovely explanation of what bitrate is, the evolution of it. What is SUPERBIT? How does it work? Well, that's it basically there. SUPERBIT, full film, normal DVD, about a quarter of it, the disc space, about half the disc space taken up the film. But on SUPERBIT, you get it all. The bit rate for this film was, I think, between 5 and 9 megabits per second. And, there is no digital artifacts visible on screen. Now, the biggest way I can always tell when I'm watching a DVD is the end credits. Because they're tiny and they're scrolling, you see all the noise, especially like that rainbow noise. You know, that is heavy on the credits usually. Man, these were just like Blu-ray. These were crystal clear credits. I'll put a picture up. Absolutely spotless of any noise, just like the picture quality on this disc. No DVD artifacts whatsoever. No contrast ringing, color banding, crushed blacks. Just picture goodness. Like, I'll play a video clip right here so you can see it in action. Like, I was so surprised. SUPERBIT is legit, guys, and this film is the shit. I'm telling you, I love it. Absolutely 10 out of 10 for that film. I really did enjoy it. Largo Entertainment, man, thank you for getting John Carpenter to make this film and getting it distributed through Columbia TriStar or Columbia Pictures and Sony Pictures. It is a great film. I will be going through more SUPERBIT titles in the future. I've got like Hannibal, Das Boot, and a few others, as well as the Vista series. I'm still going through those films. They're all lined up, ready to watch. As well as that, I've got loads of Criterion discs now, and I will be reviewing those. And I'm sure I'll find some more collections of films to go through. But thank you so much for watching this film review, and join me in the next one, and I'll see you later, guys. Take care. Bye bye. Don't forget to like and subscribe, by the way.